Welcome back to Where Rams Walk. 20 minutes, 3 debates. And the first one is Marcus Harness, the most improved player of the season. We'll get into that in a second. What about Ebou Adams? Can you believe that Cardiff said he was the fifth best midfielder of the host side? And is the Championship feeling a little bit flat this season? We'll explore that with our Derby County fans, Kieran and Peyton. And welcome back to the quickest and most comprehensive review of all things Derby County on the net. Welcome back, you two. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't done so already. Kieran, that was as good as it's been all season, wasn't it? That Pompey result.
It was very good. I feel like after the Bristol City result a few weeks ago now, I thought maybe something's clicked. And yet again, we saw it today. First 30 minutes, 3 goals up. We were very clinical. We were fantastic. Brilliant performance.
Peter, has that been coming? I mean, we've sat here for weeks saying, "Oh, we're just not taking our chances. We're not doing as bad as people make out." But is that the first time it's something as Kieran says, clicked?
I mean, I think I say it before every game, especially against the teams that are a bit lesser. I think I said it before the Plymouth game. We need to batter a team to get some confidence into the strikers, so that they can start scoring again, and then the whole team will start scoring again. And it kind of happened on Friday. I mean, Jerry Yates didn't score, and he probably should have, but he still played incredibly. Mendes-Lang looked more of his old self, which is really good to see. And then, Kane Wilson, what is there else to say about Kane Wilson? That performance probably sums up why we love him so much.
Yeah. It's back to Friday night again this week. I don't know why they want to keep punishing Derby for putting you on a Friday night against Luton. We'll come on to that game in a little while. First of all, let's look at some tweets from the Portsmouth game. This one was about Marcus Harness. Kent Kev says he's suddenly ignited over the past few games. I didn't rate him at first, but he's fast becoming one of my first picks to look for on the team sheet. He's an immense player. And Curtis says the footwork on you, Marcus Harness. Kieran, for you, is he one of the most should he be one of the first names on the team seats at the moment?
Yes. I think he's found his feet. I think when he first joined, I think it was taking him a little bit of a while to just gel. But now we're starting to see that player that helped Ipswich get promoted to the Premiership. And he's really coming to his own. He looks comfortable. He's very positive on the ball. And I really like to see that, because you can tell it really motivates and inspires the attacking forwards to, go up. And his goal was, it was a known goal in the end, but his run into the box was very well deserved.
Yeah. You seen the best of him, Peyton, yourself?
I think he's been a lot better than he was, but I think it's part of that is that Warne's realised he's actually a winger and he's not a central midfielder and he's not very good defensively. So I think he's finally found where he actually is meant to play on the football pitch, and it turns out that he's actually quite good at that position. But yeah, he's been really solid. He can come in as a 10 as well, which is what we really needed, and it's looking like a perfect loan signing. And I mean, if Ipswich are willing, we wouldn't mind keeping him. He's a good player.
Okay. Other ones then. Racking Man says, how are we playing one game like a non-league side and the other like prime Barcelona? Absolutely what was needed. Catters for better performances, hopefully. Can you explain it to us, Kieran? Why do these spells of looking like Barcelona, and then other times you look like,
I think a lot of it comes down to squad depth. And when we played Burnley, I thought Marcus Harness, again, he had a really good chance in the second half, and he if it was just a few inches, he could have scored. So I feel like with Derby, when it gels, we really look like a good side, and we really look comfortable. We look a cut above the lower sides towards the last stages of the table. Unfortunately, I think where it goes wrong is when we face sides with that quality, that Premiership quality. We saw against Leeds, we didn't look like we could compete against them. We look like an average side there. So I think a lot of it is the squad depth, which is something we need to work on in January.
Okay. I want to talk about Ebou Adams now, if that's okay, Peyton. It says, of course, from the Rams podcast, I have no idea how Ebou Adams was rated as Cardiff City's fifth choice central midfielder. His relentless running is important to this Derby team, and after scoring his third of the season, he's level on goals with all of Cardiff's central midfielders combined. What is he? When you sit in the stands, Peyton, and watch him, what are you salivating about? Is it his energy? Is it his eye for? Is it his passing ability? What impressed most about him?
I can tell you it's not his passing ability. He is, if anything of Abe Adams is not very good, it's his passing. But I mean, he runs around so much. He wins the second balls all the time. He's so good defensively. I mean, he'll run back from one side of the pitch to the other and then do it again 30 seconds later. Like he's been sat there doing nothing for an hour and a half. And he does it all game. And he goes into tackles all the time. He'll always go down for a tackle. He plays on the edge a bit, and he said it himself in an interview. He really likes to be able to play on the edge and be a little bit naughty sometimes, but he gets away with it because of the amount of times he does it so well. And then he runs around so much and he can shoot. And it's just he loves Derby as well, it seems. And he came into the club and instantly became a fan favourite. And I mean, every time he gets the ball or does anything remotely good, you hear the whole ground chanting him. So he's a really good player, and we all love him at Derby, and we're so glad we got him in the summer. I mean, he was the number one target, I think, for a lot of fans when we went up. It was get Ibu in, sign him permanently.
Kieran, at Track, your Twitter account, you, of course, look at all the Derby stats and all the players. What's impressed you the most about Adams this season?
It's funny because I think off the ball, that's where maybe Adams his weaknesses lie. But on the ball, there's no one you want more to go into a 50-50 tackle than Abu Adams. He never shies away. He seems to have an endless amount of energy. He's been fantastic. And I think if he joined us at the start of last season, we would have won League One quite comfortably. That's my personal opinion. I think he's just incredible, and I'm so surprised Cardiff let him go. So surprised.
I think there's a stat that from when we signed him till about 3 games before the end of the season, we'd conceded 8 goals in 4 months, and he was so important. And then don't know how Cardiff have not kept him or got more money for him, and he just seems to want to be there. It's also his injury. He goes down injured so much, it seems. Yeah, every single time, no matter how bad it is, he always gets up and carries on and seems like he's fine.
Okay. I think, it's absolute quality. And doesn't, like you say, you're going in for 50-50s, you likely know who's going to come out the winner. One more. Kent Kev says, totally deserved domination football. Could have easily been 6. Total team performance, everyone was brilliant. Ebu was my man of the match, but it's not hard to fault anyone. CBT will leave in January, I think, so things not right there at all. And that's the point I want to ask you about, Peyton. CBT, we've mentioned before on here, but do you agree with Kev's assessment here that he will definitely leave in January? Something's not right?
I'm not really sure. It seemed... I mean, I was watching a little bit from where I sit. I can kind of see the dugouts, and as they run into the dugout, and it looked a little bit like he wasn't really fit, and he was running a bit limply. So it almost seems like he's not actually 100% fit, and the reason that he's on the bench is just a bit of mind games. But I think also there is a little bit of he's not gelled with the sides, he's not really mates with any of the players, he's not wanting to be in the team, so he's limited his opportunities. I mean, he's been okay. But it does seem like he will go in January on loan, maybe, and then probably permanently in the summer.
Okay. Do you agree, Karen?
Yeah, I think it's a weird one. It's a shame because I think every time he's come on, he shows such promise. He's shown a lot of good pace on the ball. Especially against Norwich. I think it was he scored in towards the end of the game. But yeah, don't think something is right there. I was surprised. I thought he would have come on towards the end of the game instead of James Collins. So Yeah, I think he will look to leave. But for Paul Warren, he should be thinking about this because that's one of his signings. That's not a signing he's inherited. So, yeah, something to think about.
Okay. All right. It's nice not to talk about Paul Warren for once on here, let's be honest, and have all the tweets be about how good you did. So well done, Derby, for that. But it's Luton next, Peyton. And usually when we look at a game which is a relegated Premier League side versus a League One side, especially the Premier League side being at home, we look at it as being a definite 3-pointer for the Premier League side that's been relegated. But not in this case. The bookies have you equal favourites for this one. Do you see the gap between Luton and Derby not being as vast as it was in footballing terms, even though you come from two different divisions?
I'm really confused about Luton because they came down. I mean, the only player that they really lost was Ross Barkley, and they signed some pretty solid players in the summer, and it seems like nothing's clicked, and they just seem just off it. And they're a good side, but it just seems like they can't play well, which they were doing in the Premier League, which is just, it's kind of baffling. But I think they found a little bit of form now, and it's probably not a great time to play them, but equally it's probably a good time to play them because it could be, 3 months' time that they found a bunch of form, signed some players in January, and are now flying again. So I think if we can play them now, especially on the back of a 4-0, we can go there, play some great football, and get maybe a 1-0 win, 2-0 win. Who knows?
Okay. Their fans are saying, Kieran, essentially what's going on is that the players have lost motivation. Most of these players, were in the Premier League. He hadn't really bought much in. If you look at Sheffield United and Leeds, they've both kind of, look at Sheffield United and Burnley, they've both added to their squads. So there's a hunger there. These players aren't hungry anymore. They had the Premier League. Now they're down here. So you understand that, wouldn't you? As a player, even in your line of work, you would struggle to get motivated if you had been demoted.
See, yeah, I do get that mentality, but the thing is about Luton, which what is strange to me is I thought they played relatively good football, attractive football in the Premiership. So I thought when they came down, it would translate quite well, and I would have tipped them much more than the other clubs that went down to go straight back up. But something hasn't gelled, especially towards the start of the season. I felt maybe managers were getting the managers' tactics, spot on in advance of the game. But I do feel like they're starting to just get to grips with the physicality again of the Premiership now. And maybe in the new year, if they get the right one or two players, they could go for the playoffs. So maybe it is a good time to play them just before we get back into January. But I think it'll be a tough one.
Okay, we'll look forward to watching you again on Friday this week. I've never seen so much of Derby in my life. Right. We'll look forward to that one. Finally, then, this week we're talking about the Championship, and is it feeling a little bit flat this season? I know you guys are loving it. You're just glad to be back, so you're probably the wrong fans to ask this. But generally, people are saying football feels a little bit flat at the moment. There's not many great games. There's too many draws. Too much football on TV. Peyton, what's your on this? Does the Championship feel like it hasn't lit up yet?
It feels like there's not as many games with a bunch of goals in them. There was Leeds Sunderland ended 2-2. I think if that was last year and it was a similar position and they were in, that could have been a 4-4 game where there was goals going either end. It feels like the teams have gone a lot more focused on defence over attack to try and compete with the Premier League next season if you're to be promoted. So it means that the worst teams are having to do defensive practice more as well. So it's kind of just levelling out everyone to cater for the league above, which not one side's in this season. So it almost feels like they're playing football for the wrong division, but they're still.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Kieran, do you think? Thanks for that, Peyton. Is money ruining football? Because you look at Derby County. Okay, they'll be petrified to return to League One. Absolutely petrified. If you own Derby County and have any kind of shares in it, the last thing you'll be wanting to do. So it's not about entertainment. It's all about just getting 3 points on a Saturday, isn't it? By hook or by crook. Who cares how they come? Long throw-ins, free kicks, penalties, whatever. But if you think that 24 other teams think about it like that, it leads to a very, very dour league, doesn't it?
I do feel maybe for the magic has a little bit reduced this season, and I think one of the reasons is if you look at the top half of the table, there's a lot of clubs that have had spells in the Premiership over the past 2 or 3 years, and I think what makes it almost lose its fun a little bit is I think there is a disparity between the top sides in the league, especially the richer clubs, the ones that receive parachute payments, and the ones maybe lower down. I know this seems weird, but I find it sometimes a little bit more engaging looking at the relegation fight instead of the promotion charge, because as bad as it sounds, if you look at the sides the players Leeds have, if you look at the quality Sheffield United have, I would just expect them to be at the top anyway. And I think in other championship, look at Ipswich last season, they were a fantastic side up from League One, and it was new. But this season, we don't really have that many stories.
Yeah, there's a lack of quality as well, Peyton. I mean, we used to having kind of a couple of superstars in the league, players that got even away fans would be interested in watching. But are we lacking that as well? Do you think?
I think a little bit, but I think it's more the fact that the nations abroad and teams abroad, and players abroad as well, are looking and going, I don't want to go down to the Championship, because why would I want to go play in the Championship when I could have a really, really good season in my division, in France, Austria, Belgium, and then the Premier League side are going to look at me and go, well, I'll take a punt on him, There's teams like Brighton who are signing players from here, there and everywhere and are becoming world beaters, £100 million players. And then you've got like the Championship that's kind of become a bit of a feed for those Premier League clubs to get little upgrades in their side in comparison to, you could go play in France. They've got some teams in the bottom half of their league where you could get plenty of games as you would in a Championship side against stronger opponents. And you have a more chance on a bigger stage to show yourself than you do in the Championship. So it's unfortunately, I think it's just the leagues around the Championship and on the same level, maybe with the quality, have improved. So the players in those divisions that were attracted to the Championship aren't as much anymore because they could just stay in their league and be on a bigger stage.
Okay. All right, then let us know in the comments what you think about it. Has the Championship gone a bit flat this season? And if so, what can we do about it? I mean, I really don't think that all these kickoff times are helping much at all. I'm sure you'll know, Kieran, Derby mates who haven't gone to Derby away games because it's definitely going to be on Saturday at 12, and would have gone and for home games as well. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much, both you two. If you haven't yet subscribed, of course, please do so. Drop us a comment as well. We really love all your love. Thank you for all the stuff you've done so far. And we'll see you next week on the other side of the Luton game. One more before Christmas.